Hello everybody, in today's episode I will show you how to change your front axle on almost any car, and in special on this Volkswagen Charan. To begin, what you have to do is to remove your undercover. In my case I have this undercover made from plastic and it's holding in by 4 bolts, 2 on each side. You have to remove it to have access to the axle. After that, just lift the car up. In my case, I found it easier to lift it from both sides. Now I'm going to lift it from this side, and after that I will put a jack stand onto the other side. I just finished to remove the shield from under the car, and as you guys can see, it's holding on by 4 bolts, 2 on each side. Here it's the axle that we are going to change today. The axle is mounted on with 6 bolts and you will have to use a Torx 12 to remove them. The reason why I had to change the axle from this car is because the axle is gone, it's not longer in a good shape, and if you will hear a metal click when I'm trying to move it on each side, and this is why my axle is worn out, and this is the reason why I have to change it. And if yours also have a lot of play in it, you have to change it. After you're done with removing the front wheel, all you have to do next is to go under the brake disc and you will find this joint holding in by 2 bolts. You will need an M8 to remove those 2 bolts, and after that you will have to use an Torx 12 to remove the bolts from the axle. This is what kind of bolts you will have mounted on your axle if you're working on a car like this, on a Volkswagen. Here you can try to use a metal bar in order to disconnect the joint, or you can also use a hammer to hammer it a little until it's coming out from its place. To remove the bolt from the axle, you will have to use a 27mm socket, and I'm going to put it on my impact gun because this way the bolt will come out very easy. After you undid the bolt, what you have to do next is to take a hammer and screw the bolt a little into the axle, because this way when you hammer it, the axle will go backwards and it will be easier for you to remove it. Just follow what I'm doing here and you'll be good to go. Those are all the bolts situated around the axle. You will have 6 bolts. And one more thing that you have to do before trying to remove the bolts is to take your M12 and hammer it a little inside the bolt, because in this way you will make sure that the key is fitted in properly and it won't destroy the threads. This is very important because if you destroy the threads, it will be very difficult to remove them. As you guys can see, even with an impact gun, it's a little difficult to remove the bolts. This is why I recommend you to buy one of those. Here I already removed all the bolts from the axle. and just make sure that you remove it carefully and don't break any hose from the brakes. What I recommend you to do before installing your new axle is to compare the old one with the new one, just to make sure that everything is perfectly and is the same axle. And as you guys can see, my old axle is a little longer than the new one, just because the axle came out from its joint from inside the boot, and this is why the right one is a little longer, but are the same ones. So I already installed the new axle onto the car. I'm just going to show you how I installed it. I'm not going to show you a video because otherwise the video will be too long. As you can see, all the bolts are installed properly. Just make sure you don't tighten them too much if you are using an impact gun. You have to install the bolts from the axle, and after that those two bolts under the brake disc, and in the last the bolt which is holding the axle mounted onto the brake disc. Thank you for watching. This is all you have to do in order to change your axle on any car. If you liked this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.